Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I something happened with my internet connection, I think earlier that didn't let me. I was clicking on live for about actually 5 minutes, and then I decided, okay, it's not going anywhere, so let's refresh, and and here I am. Okay, so if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop them on the live chat comment on the side. The reason why I'm doing a live session is so I can answer your questions, in one box instead of you watching maybe a video and then ask questions. That's probably this is probably better way of answering questions, and so I might do this every week or twice a week. But the pressing thing I wanted to discuss is the EU settlement scheme. And because I received a lot of comments on this specific video that I was that I uploaded on this channel, and it's about the EU settlement scheme. So one of you asked a question about, can I still bring my family member to come to the UK? I have a pre-settled status, and I want my family members to come to the UK. And the one of the children is 18 years old, and the other one is below 16, I think. So in answer to that question is obviously the UK has already left the European Union, and so the transition period. So there's a deadline, okay, and it's really kind of it's urgent. It's urgent if you still have family members family members outside the UK that you want them to apply and join you in the UK. They need to apply for the family permit under the EU settlement scheme, and if they arrive after June, I mean, there is no, when I'm checking on the government website, there is no reference on the correct deadline. It just says that if you have family that wants to, who wants to come and join you in the UK, if they arrive after April, just after April 2021, then they must apply for EU settlement scheme before sorry, not before, but within 3 months, of their arrival. So if they arrive in April, my advice would be to immediately apply, okay, and then submit a copy of the passport or passport stamp that says they've arrived in the UK. And if you can get documents such as GP registration or bank statements, then that would be great. Then you won't have any problems of them refusing the application, because you've provided proof that they're living with you. The reason why it's urgent for this case, because if the child who's 18 doesn't apply and then they miss the deadline, so like I said, it's not quite clear somewhere. I cannot find any reference to say that they have to apply by June, but because the EU settlement scheme for EU citizens deadline is 30th of June 2021, then it sort of like follows that the deadline also applies to everyone else who wants to apply under the EU settlement scheme. Okay, so if he doesn't apply to come to the UK before June, then he misses that chance of being able to come to join his family in the UK, because under immigration rules, 18 years old child is already considered as independent, and so there is no category for them to apply, even though you can't, you think, well, how about I apply for this child, 18-year-old son, under the immigration rules, child settlement visa, can I do that? No, you can't, because under the immigration rules, UK immigration rules will not allow this child to come and join you in the UK if they're over 18. So the deadline, it's really tight. And also, if this child doesn't, so let's say the other child as well, who's under 16, if this child doesn't apply under the EU settlement scheme family permit, then the sponsor, so that's you who's in the UK, who wants to sponsor your child outside the UK will have to pay so much money. So you have to pay something like over £3,000 just for the visa fees. So that's 1,560 immigration health surcharge that they have to pay, plus £1,573 home office immigration fees. Okay, so that's well over, I can't calculate in my head. So 1,560 plus 1,573 that's like 3,100 something. Okay. Hi Zara, thank you very much. I'm glad that you like my channel. Okay, so yes, so this is really the reason why I wanted to just highlight the urgency of people wanting to apply under the EU settlement scheme. Okay, so the other question that I wanted to answer is this. One of you also asked, actually emailed and asked, can I apply for pre-settled or settled status? I have been in and out of the country. So it wasn't quite clear whether or not how many years gap he was outside the UK. But he said that he lived by the 31st of December. That's just gone. 2020. He lived in the UK, and then when he lived in the UK, he then traveled to somewhere in the Far East and stayed there and came back on the 22nd of January. So he was asking, can I apply for pre-settled or settled status? And I said, well, because he kind of traveled, there's a gap, although it's not so much a gap. So I kind of said, oh, well, you missed the deadline. But then he said, well, my family's applied and they're successful. So I said, okay, maybe I sort of misinterpreted the facts. So I think it turned out that he has been living 5 years in the UK prior to moving and living somewhere in the Far East, and then coming back and then traveling out again. So yes, he can, in that situation, if he had been a resident in the UK and he can prove that he's been resident in the UK by the 31st of December, then yes, he can apply for EU settlement scheme. Again, the deadline is June 30, 2021, this year. But he will need to, when the Home Office checks your application, they check based on the national insurance. It's easy to trace whether or not this person has been resident in the UK for 5 years or for how many years based on the national insurance. But there may be cases where, I don't know, you become self-employed and you haven't quite submitted your income tax return, self-assessment tax return, and therefore the records that the Home Office, that the HMRC have gaps. So they won't be able to verify whether you've lived in the UK for 5 years. So they may ask, and usually in this case they do, if they don't have proof, they send you an email to say, can you send us proof that you've lived in the UK for 5 years? And so you send them information, you send them bank statements, council tax, HMRC letters, so anything official that shows you've lived in the UK, that shows your name and address where you've lived. And then if you can prove that you've lived in the UK for 5 years, then you will be granted settled status. But if you can't, okay, for some reason you had a gap, and usually if it's like 6 months, more than 6 months gap, then the Home Office may not grant you the 5 years settled status. Sorry, they might not grant you the settled status, indefinite leave to remain, because you've had a gap. And I think in this case, this guy who emailed me, it may be that he will get pre-settled status. But I told him, apply for settled status, and then the Home Office will ask, can you provide proof of your residence in the UK? And if he can provide proof, then yes, he will get the settled status. But if he can't, and there's a gap because he's been traveling in and out, then the Home Office will just grant him pre-settled status. That's the difference. Okay, so if you have any doubt whether or not you should apply for pre-settled status or settled status, apply for settled status anyway, and then provide proof that you've lived in the UK for 5 years. if you can't provide proof, then what it will mean is that the Home Office will just grant you pre-settled status. So that's the difference. Okay, if in doubt, apply for the settled to get your indefinitely to remain, and then if you can't prove that you've lived in the UK for 5 years, the Home Office will just grant you the pre-settled status, which you will then renew in 5 years' time. If you, but you can apply. Let's say you've only lived in the UK for 4 years, so you can't quite apply for the settled status, and so what you have to do is just apply next year for the settled status. Okay, still under the youth settlement scheme, and then you'll get your settled status indefinitely to remain, and then convert it to British citizenship if you want to. Okay, so that's it. So I'm hoping that if you have any questions, just pop them on this chat, and hopefully I will just pick it up and answer your questions there. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.